Welcome back to another episode of From the Shed End with myself, Theo, and the other Theo. How you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, really good. Weather's cooling a bit in the UK after the horrendous heat we had last week. But unfortunately, I saw it's going to go back up to 31, 32 degrees end of week. So a joy to be in the office, at least when you've got a bit of AC. So I'm not going to complain too much about my mandatory days there. But how are you doing?
No, I'm good. I'll be honest. I think we need some of the good weather to come up north. I know it's 30 degrees over the weekend, but yeah, it's been raining. It rained all weekend, just gone. So a bit of it won't hurt to see a bit of sunshine. But no, I'm good. Obviously, even better when Chelsea win. Over the weekend, just gone. We're going to talk about all of that on this episode. Before we get into the episode, please make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so on YouTube already. Also, our mini documentary series where we look at some of our Chelsea legends from day one, number one, with Petr Cech already out. I think we're up to, as we're recording, I think N'Golo Kante's episode will drop tonight. And then we'll go on, so on. But no, it's good. Chelsea are in winning form again. Brilliant performance against Palmeiras in the Club World Cup. No better place to start. What was your thoughts on the game, first of all?
Yeah, I tried to stay up for the game. Woke up asleep on the sofa, so I missed, half of the second half. Went to bed, fell asleep, not went to bed, just after Estevao scored his the equaliser. I thought it was a good game. I think some positives to point out. Cole Palmer back on the score sheet. First goal from open play since January, when he scored against Bournemouth. So hopefully that will do his confidence a world of good. And typical kind of Cole Palmer goal we'd expect from him, when he kind of like wiggles his way through the defenders and just expertly places it beyond the keeper's grasp. So really good to see him get back on the score sheet. I thought it was nice to see Estevao score because this is what we can expect from him. But also I thought defensively, I think was it Cotwell? I think he gets, or Cucurella. I can't remember who it was, gets beaten a bit too easily. And I think Sanchez needs to save that. If I'm personally honest as well. I think, it's a bit like the angle is just way too tight for me. And I think if that's a Courtois and Alisson or even a Manuel Neuer, I think they're kind of like, they're not just flat foot. They're not stood there. They're kind of jumping up like a spring gill or something like that. So I was a bit disappointed. But no, take nothing away from the finish. It was brilliant goal. And it was interesting to see Maresca say he's pleased that Estevao scored, but he's also more pleased that Chelsea have qualified. And it was like the perfect evening for him. Funny to see as well, Palmer trying to talk to Estevao and him not having a word of what he was saying with, I think Sugo had to come in and translate. But I think Palmer was basically trying to tell him that he was really excited that he was joining Chelsea. Yeah. And then the last goal, it was good to see that we just kind of fought till the end, and it wasn't the best of goals. I think it was a bit of a weak deflection, and if I'm going to be honest, sure it was a deflection, but I still think the keeper should be saving that. But yeah, I'm just pleased we qualified. Pleased we beat a Brazilian team after the disappointment against Flamengo. And I think that now I'm really excited about the semis against another Brazilian team. So I'm looking forward to that one. But no, that's twice now we played Palmeiras Club World Cup final 2022 and quarterfinals of the World Cup. And that's twice now we defeated them. Really passionate fan base. So it wouldn't have been easy playing in those around that atmosphere and that build up to the game. But credit to the players, they got the job done. And I think slowly as this Club World Cup's progressing, I think we're seeing more of this kind of Chelsea we can expect going into next season as well.
Yeah, I have to agree. I thought it was a solid performance. I thought it was a really good performance from the players, and it was alarming. Obviously, Reece James getting injured in the warm up. Apparently, he's good. For tomorrow's game in the semi final. But I thought Andre Santos came in and filled in. I think that done us proud in terms of what we've all been wanting as Chelsea fans is to see him start a game, and he didn't disappoint. Put in a really solid performance. And again, the first goal for me, Cole Palmer, I think he makes that goal look so easy, and it's not. Yeah. I think it's something that I think we're just accustomed to with Cole Palmer, that he can do those kind of magical things on a half turn and create a little bit of space and just almost float it into the bottom corner, which isn't an easy thing to do at any level. I'm going to defend Sanchez a little bit. I am, because I think, as much as I think he should save that, I think his initial thought is to guard the far post as opposed to his near post. I don't think he's he should be set up a lot better to. Well, for me, Colwell is more at fault than anyone. I think Colwell has to close that space down a lot earlier than he did. But I feel with Sanchez, I think he's half thinking far post is where I need to sort of guard and keep my attention on. And he kind of takes his eye the near post, which you don't want to see a goalkeeper getting beat at the near post at any point in the game. But it was a good strike. And I think when you watch that in real time, the speed of that ball going past him, I just don't think you saved him sometimes. I just don't. I can't believe I'm sat here defending Sanchez, but I generally think that was I think it was a really good shot from Estevao. And I think, Sanchez was very unlucky, but I do feel, yes, he could have done better. But I'll be honest, I think over the last couple of months, he's impressed me a little bit more than we've seen over the time that he hasn't impressed us. So I think there's more to come from him. I want to talk to you about João Pedro, who was able to get some minutes, new signing. What was your thoughts on him and seeing him play?
He looked sharp. He looked really sharp, bearing in mind he was kind of brought in only a couple of days ago and he's thrown straight into a tough game against Palmeiras as a substitute. But he probably wouldn't have trained much in the build-up to that. When all these other players were building up their fitness in the Club World Cup, he's probably been on holiday since Brighton's season finished. But yeah, he looked sharp. He looked good. I'm still a bit curious to see if we play him on the wing as a 10, as a striker. Liam Delap is suspended for the game against Fluminense. So I think Maresca's got the side now. He's got a bit of a dilemma whether to play João Pedro as a 9 or if he brings Jackson back in after he's back from his suspension and the red card he got against Flamengo. So, but no, I think João Pedro is that player that I wasn't that excited about him, and now that he's here, I am quite excited. And I think a lot of people have been kind of giving me some kind of like a detailed kind of like traits he has. But one of the things that did stick out, not really positive, is his discipline. I think he got, was it 1 or 2 red cards last season? I think one of them was for a headbutt or something like that. And when you think of it, you've got Jackson, Delap, and now João Pedro, all 3 of them aren't really strangers to yellow cards or even red cards. So that's something hopefully we can correct next season and get them a bit more disciplined so they're not missing many matches.
Yeah, that South American blood definitely is running through his veins. I think, he missed the last 2 games for Brighton due to a training ground bust-up. I think with, I think it was Van Heckel.
Van Heckel, yeah.
Van Heckel. So, I think that's something Maresca's going to have to nip in the bud. You don't want 3 of your, ultimately your number 9s, Jackson, Delap, and now João Pedro, all being hotheads. You need to nip that in the bud very, very early into the season. I just want to mention before we move on, Pedro Neto, who obviously, tough couple of days for him, losing a close friend or someone that he probably called a brother in Diogo Jota and Andre Jota as well. But he put in a really good performance on the back of, mentally the resilience and the strength that he showed to even turn up and play, a football match. But he was brilliant, put in a really good, solid performance.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm not just against Palmeiras, but throughout this tournament, I think he's been our best performer. Yeah. And this is a really good kind of like sign going into next season when we did big question marks over guys like Madueke, Madrid's future, whether Tyreek George will stay or go. Sancho being sent back on loan, but now we've got actually a winger who's performing. His work rate is excelling as well. So this is really good. And I think finally a couple of rival fans are kind of raising eyebrows of how kind of good he is and the potential he has. Really good to see him kind of put in those types of performances, especially against really good opposition. When you think now that we're going to go in the Champions League, this is the type of player we want against quality opposition as well. Yeah,
I thought he played really well. Outstanding. Little sneaky picture floated up online at the end of the game. Jamie Gittens somehow managed to work his way onto the pitch. He almost announced his Chelsea arrival himself by doing so. I think the official announcement came out a couple of days or a couple of hours after the match. But a good signing, happy with the signing. There's talk about Madueke potentially moving to Arsenal in a 50 million transfer fee across the other side of London. Is this a good replacement or good option to have in Jamie Gittens coming in from Dortmund?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still a bit puzzled by Chelsea's overall transfer strategy because it seems like we sign these players, not just Madueke, but Chukwuemeka, Kellyman, Renato Vega, all these guys. We sign them, don't really give them much of a chance, and then sell them a year or 2 later. And it seems like we've done the same with Madueke. I think he's got more of a chance. And I'm not complaining too much about this sale because we're making, I think, 20 million or 25 million profits on the fee we initially bought him from PSV. Whether I rather Gittens or Madueke, I still don't know yet. I haven't watched too much of Dortmund and Bundesliga football. I got a glimpse of him, I think, in the Bruges games in the Champions League where he looked really, really, really sharp and really good. But it seems like he was pushing for the move. There's that video where he looked really frustrated leaving the training ground in his car after the move didn't materialise before the Club World Cup, sorry. Chelsea Academy player, if I'm not mistaken, as well. I think he came through the Chelsea Academy.
Or City as well. I think he was at City.
City, Chelsea. I think he might have done something at Reading.
I
might be wrong about that. But yeah, it seems like we really wanted his signing for a while now. We were annoyed not to get it done earlier in the summer. But also, I think this signing spells the end of Madueke's time at Chelsea, if I'm completely honest.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. And I want to ask you as well, do you feel like Noni Madueke has done enough to warrant staying at the club? Do you think this is probably the reason why I asked about, a like-for-like almost replacement for Madueke and Gittens? But I feel like Madueke hasn't shown enough over the course of time. He hasn't scored enough goals or contributed in terms of assists. I mean, I just don't see what he's really good at, I suppose. I don't see what his best qualities are as a Chelsea player.
Yeah, I know sometimes he was played out of position on his kind of like the left wing when I think he'd much rather play as a right winger. But yeah, he's been here now for 2.5 years. He's given the benefit of the doubt in his first half season or maybe beginning of his second season. But after 2.5 years, you still don't really see the consistent performances that he can provide. Sure, there's that the odd game against Wolves where he gets a hat-trick, or he gets games against, I think it was against Villa last season where he scored a great goal. But other than that,
he stole a goal. Let's not forget, he stole a goal.
Stole it against Wolves. I remember that one, yeah. And he celebrated it quite well as well. But no, I think there's a lot of players like that. Maybe when they left, I was disappointed. I felt like they got so much more to offer. We signed them too soon. I'd actually put Renato Vega in that bracket, actually. Yeah. But then there's guys like Madueke who I feel like, hang on a minute, 2.5 years. He's got a big ego as well, so he probably thinks this is the ability that he's the best of his ability. And if I'm to be honest, 50 million is a lot of money as well. So that's probably why we've been allowed. I mean, we allowed ourselves to buy these guys like João Pedro and Gittens, because it probably means that we're kind of planning the sale of Madueke, and that 20 million will get in the bank as well.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's. I mean, one thing we say about these owners is they don't really have a strategy. I've said that before, but one thing they are really good at is selling players at Chelsea. They've done some really good business over the last 2 or 3 seasons. I just want to run through this list very quickly of players I think potentially will leave. Petrovic, Sterling, Chalobah. I put Chalobah in there. I don't want him to go, but I think he's on that list. Noni Madueke, Benoit Badiashile, Keenan Dewsbury-Hall, Christopher Nkunku, a possible loan for Mark Wu. Amari Kellerman, I think, may leave, maybe on a loan, but possible permanent. Carney Chukwuemeka, as you said, Renato Vega, João Felix, Ben Chilwell. I mean, there's some money to be made from some of those players.
Maybe you said them, Disasi, Ugochukwu, a few others.
Disasi,
I think that could be on there.
Ugochukwu, I think, is linked with Valencia, I think, at the moment.
Yeah, so. I think Fabrizio said that Chelsea only want to sell permanently now rather than loans. So I think there's a lot of those players that I think would definitely leave. There's others that I think it's going to be a struggle to sell them because of their wages. Ben Chilwell and Sterling, the main two. But I think João Felix is pushing for a move to Benfica. I think Renato Vega is being linked to Bayern Munich. And these are quality players, I think, but it's just more like they probably haven't really excelled at Chelsea. And also we've just brought in a replacement now that they will get back into the team after their loans last season as well.
Yeah, agreed. Let's see how that unfolds. I'm not going to lose any sleep over Madueke. If you want to go to the dark side, the I was going to say like the graveyard of footballers in terms of their careers, with Arsenal not really giving us anything to show for what they can do. They don't win Champions Leagues, haven't won a Premier League in over 20 years. So, Sterling's failed, David Luiz has failed. There's been many. William Gallas, who I think did win a couple of stuff there. But we'll see. We'll see how that unfolds for Noni Madueke. But big game on Tuesday night. Massive game. It's the Theo derby. I've been waiting to say that one for a while. Yeah, I mean, look, this is going to be, a lot of other fans I've noticed are saying that the Club World Cup it's pointless. It's just agreed for FIFA. It's a way for them to make money. But when you're in the Club World Cup, and we are where we are, we're in the semi-final. We're one step away from Sunday's final. This is a massive game, and I think it probably now means a lot more to Chelsea fans than it did at the very start in the group stages. But what's your thoughts going into this game? I can tell already, you was there watching the Fluminense game as well, but this is a big game. It's a massive game, personally for you, but also for Chelsea as well.
Yeah, it's a huge game, not just for me, for Thiago Silva as well, playing against his old club. And I think something I've kind of noted from my time in Brazil in April, going to the bar on Friday to watch the Fluminense Al Hilal game in London with all the Fluminense fan club here in London, is, I hate to say it, but they want it more than us.
Oh, yeah.
They want it more than us. Their fans want it more than us. Their players want it more than us. Sure, maybe they want it more than us, but maybe we have a bit more quality in the team, which makes me think we can get further than them. But yeah, it's going to be a huge game. And like you said, maybe when we're playing LAFC in the first game, kind of people thought, it's just a glorified friendly season. But now that we're in the semis, we're 2 games away from winning the whole thing, 1 game away from potentially playing Real Madrid or PSG, who I would put as the 2 biggest teams that can maybe block us from winning the Champions League next season.
Yeah.
Then this is a huge game for us. It's going to be tough. I think a lot of Chelsea fans might be underestimating Fluminense, but I think they've got quality players. Obviously, Thiago Silva, we know all about him, 40 years old and still getting clean sheets against the likes of Borussia Dortmund, changing tactics at halftime and almost taking that managerial position and tweaking things himself. So he'll definitely know how to readjust his back line. So maybe he can see an early goal, or maybe want to protect and hold back and sit back and protect a 1 or 2 goal lead. Then you've got guys like John Arias, who's a fantastic Colombian player that they've got to keep an eye on him. Hercules as well, who got a goal against Al Hilal. They've got a lot of players that can hurt us, and they've got the experience of guys like Cano as well. It's going to be tough, really, really tough. I still expect us to win, but I just don't know which Chelsea will show up that day. If it's the Chelsea we saw against Flamengo, that will just crumble. Or if it's the one that since then has looked a bit more settled and experienced, we've got the results against Benfica and against Palmeiras as well. Annoyingly, we've got some suspensions to Liam Delap and to Levi Colwell. So it's going to be whether maybe it's going to be a back 2 of Tosin and Chalobah. I'd expect it to be, but maybe he brings in Badiashile again, and then it's going to be a striker of either João Pedro or who actually used to play for Fluminense. He was in the youth.
He's got history.
Yeah, he's got history. Fluminense fans know all about him, and he scored a brilliant bicycle kick for them against Cruzeiro. The video still pops up on my timeline occasionally, but really good goal. But yeah, either him or Jackson. So whoever's playing a striker is going to need to support the likes of Enzo and Pedro Neto and provide some goals. But yeah, tough game, really, really tough game. 8 p.m. here in the UK, Tuesday at the MetLife Stadium in New York. First game we played in New York as well. And one thing I've seen is that all the Fluminense fans have been around New York, Times Square and the Hudson River on boats. So they're definitely going to make that atmosphere intimidating and pack out the stadium for sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. I mean, every game, I think, maybe bar the LAFC game, the opening game, I think every game has proven to be difficult in some stages. I know the Benfica game, but even that, it took us, some time to actually get the winners that we needed. So I don't think it wasn't a 4-1 game, so to speak. So I think this will be difficult, just as difficult. You name some really good players in the Fluminense team that we do have to guard against. My worry for this Chelsea squad is not just the suspensions, but I feel that fatigue will start creeping in terms of the number of games that they've played. The conditions can't be easy. And I was watching the Real Madrid game at the weekend and just seeing how hot it could be over there. Even with the cooling breaks, you can see that some of the players are struggling with the heat. Fluminense potentially won't be as affected by that than some of these Chelsea players will be. And if I remember correctly, the game kicks off at 9:00, so it's not the usual sort of 2 a.m. where it's slightly cooler, later on in the day in America. So it's going to be difficult. I think the mix-up of, losing Levi Colwell to the suspension will probably disbenefit us completely. I rate Chalobah and I love him. But if it is Badiashile, then I do have worries because it will leave Cucurella exposed. It will leave Tosin, if it is Tosin, with the centre-back partnership exposed at times, because I just think Badiashile, I would say he's probably one of the weaker centre backs we've got. I don't think it'll be a Sugo or someone. No, I don't think we'll see him play in that game. Hopefully, Reece James is back. You don't know.
Getting Caicedo back as well from his suspension, which will be a huge boost for us.
Here's a question for you before we do the predicted lineup. Do you stick with Andre Santos, knowing that he's probably more familiarised with some of the players that he's going to be coming up against, or do you bring back the guy that has been the rock for us last season in terms of Moises Caicedo and that partnership he's got with Enzo Fernandez in the midfield?
I would potentially play all three. So how I'd make that work is you'd have Lavia looks like he's not fit. He hasn't been in any of the training photos, I think. Yeah. So I'd have Andre Santos alongside Caicedo with Enzo as a 10 and play Palmer on the wing, perhaps with Neto on the other wing. And then maybe have, I still don't know between Jackson or João Pedro who I'd prefer.
I've got 10 seconds to decide.
I'll go with João Pedro. João Pedro giving his ex-Fluminense against his old team. Yeah.
I'd have to agree with that. Let's go from back to front. Let's go from goalkeeper to striker in terms of our predicted lineup. So I think we're both going to agree it's going to be Sanchez in goal. I don't think, bar one game, we've seen Felipe Jurgensen in goal. I think it was
just Esperance Tunis game.
Yeah, the game that was almost a nothing game, a little bit. Do you stick with Malo Gusto? Do you put Reece James back in it if he's fully fit? He seems to be.
I think in the semi-finals of a knockout tournament, you've got to have your captain, and that's Reece James at right back for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think we've picked on tossing. Potentially, I think I'm going to have to go Trevor Chalobah. I think Maresca will probably trust Badia Shil a little bit more on that left side of a centre-back partnership, but I'm going to go with Chalobah. I think he gives you a bit more calmness, a bit more alert. He's a bit more alert in terms of the awareness, the dangers that could be around him. So let's go with Chalobah. It's going to have to be Marco Correa, I think, at left back. We don't have another option. I like your midfield, so I think that's a sensible one in terms of Enzo playing slightly higher up with Caicedo and Santos in the midfield. The wingers, we're going with Cole Palmer, Neto.
Yeah, I think so.
Palmer on the left, Neto on the right.
I would think so, but it might be like interchangeable throughout that game.
I was rushing you for the striker. Now I'm thinking, do you bring Nicholas Jackson back in? I'm going to say no. I think he's missed 2 key games. Three, because three essentially, isn't it? I think
he missed. He missed 3.
He missed 2 and then didn't come on.
He didn't play. He didn't play against Palmeiras, and he was suspended for the last 2 and Benfica games.
Yeah. So I think he's missed. That's a lot of football. I know it sounds stupid, but you've missed 3 games in a short, succession of time. So I think you have to go with someone who I loved João Pedro when he came on. By the way, I thought he was very intelligent with his runs and with the ball and off the ball as well. So I think he will give the Fluminense defence some sort of issues. I'm not saying he's going to be running them right, but I think he'll cause a couple of issues there at the back.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that 11 and go João Pedro to lead the line.
Right, what's the? This is going to be difficult for you. I don't know. You don't want to hurt any of your fan bases, but
no, I've got a lot of questions on my Twitter asking who am I supporting, and there's only one answer to that, and that's Chelsea, because Chelsea is my team, and for me, when it comes to football, you support your team. That's Chelsea. That being said, if we're going to lose to one team, let it be to Fluminense, and then I'll probably root for them in the final. But I still think we're going to win this, and I'm backing Chelsea to win this. I think we'll win 2-1. I think we'd have a bit more firepower to score more, but just Thiago Silva in defence is absolute rock. Yeah, it's Sarkozy scoring quite like a lot of goals against him. And their goalkeeper we haven't spoken about, he's 44 years old, Fabio.
He pulled off some amazing saves the other night.
Amazing saves, and I suppose crazy fact, he was in the same under-18 Brazil team as Ronaldinho in 1997. So that's how long he's been around now. Keep an eye out for him, Fabio. But I think we'll win 2-1, and we'll have just about enough to qualify to the final. And he might even go to extra time, potentially.
I was just about to say, I'm going to go 2-2. I'm going to go 2-2, extra time, a late winner, extra time, sloppy goal, but we'll take it. I think. I'll take it.
But some of us some of our performances have been sloppy, but as long as we qualify and we get to the final, more cash prize, and then we get a chance to play Madrid or Paris, we'll take it.
Yeah, definitely 100%. I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure you are. I'm sure all Chelsea fans are. 9 p.m. New York. I'm looking. I can't wait. I'm actually excited for it, which is good. I know it's glorified preseason, but if we win the trophy, it isn't a glorified preseason. It's actually another trophy to add to Maresca's Conference League trophy that he picked up earlier in the year. So, Theo, as always, thank you very much. Pleasure. As always. I won't ask you what kit you'll be wearing tomorrow. I'm sure it'll be a Chelsea one. half skirts, half and half scarf somewhere. I don't know, but
Chelsea kit drinking out this cup. That's what.
There we have it. There's a compromise if you've ever seen one. But enjoy the game. I'll be enjoying the game. Chelsea fans, enjoy the game. Don't forget to subscribe. Smash the subscribe button, notification bell on, and we'll be back after the game with a match review. So make sure you join us then. Until then, enjoy the rest of the week. We'll be back soon.